It's showtime. Happy Friday, everybody. I am here with the Assistant Executive Director for the Boise Centre, Mr. Cody Lund. Hi, Cody.
How you guys doing? Happy Friday, everybody. Good to see you, Paul.
Oh my gosh, happy Friday. Hey, today is a great opportunity to let people know about the Boise Centre, introduce you to the group, and to check in on your team. You know, the Boise Centre is the largest convention and conference center in the state of Idaho. And we feel for you guys, man, with the pandemic and you know the lack of travel, and it's just the hospitality industry and the convention industry has just been drastically affected by all this. So this is a good opportunity to check in, see what's going on. So Cody, why don't you start us off with a little bit about the history of Boise Centre?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. It has been a different year. We've kind of been taken every month by month, day by day. But the history of Boise Centre, I'd probably be remiss if I didn't mention the Greater Boise Auditorium District, which is the funding arm of the Boise Centre. A lot of people aren't sure how we're funded. We have a district that was formed in 1959 through the legislature. And that district is basically the old boundaries of the junior college. Kind of goes from Floating Feather on the north, Lake Hazel on the south, about Eagle Road on the west, and then like Warm Springs and Gowan Road to the east is kind of our district boundaries, but it's actually the old junior college district boundaries. And what the district does is any of the hotels that are within that district boundary, they collect a 5% hotel room tax on our behalf, and that goes to help fund the district. And it's important to note that none of the district's operating revenues are coming from property taxes, sales taxes, levies. A lot of people think it's paid for by taxpayers, so I think it's important to note that. And then the secondary income of the district is actually the operating revenues of Boise Centre. So that's kind of the basic of the background of how we were formed and where it came through. What they did is they collected those taxes from 1959 all the way up until about 1990, or actually about the 88 year. And they had enough money to build the center. So they started building the center, and it got built in 1990 for about $10.5 million. And a lot of people still refer to us. It's a big thing that we constantly remind people that we're no longer Boise Centre on the Grove. But when we were formed, we were Boise Centre on the Grove. And we've changed that since 2007. We shortened it down to just Boise Centre. So that's kind of helped. We've got the Grove Hotel right next door. We are on the Grove Plaza. So to eliminate any confusion, we kind of thought simple, and everybody else was kind of a trendy thing to shorten your name at the time. I think if I remember, a few other places did something similar. So that kind of led us into where we are today, which is about 3 years ago, about the 2017, July of 2017. We expanded what was the original Boise Centre, which was about 50,000 square feet of meeting space. And we decided at that point in time, we were running almost full occupancy, which for convention centers is about 70% utilization. And we decided that we needed an expansion. So we built Boise Centre East. And we did that in about 3 different phases. So that was built over a couple different years in particular, but finished up, and I say July of 2017 because we actually hosted our very first event in Boise Centre East in December of 2016. So we got occupancy on a portion of the construction that was finished, and then finished the other components of the phases in July of 2017. Phase 1 was like I said, the Boise Centre East building. Phase 2 was our concourse. And then phase 3, we put in a new junior ballroom. And if you remember, I don't know if those that do remember, we replaced a 350-seat auditorium that used to be called the Summit that we had. And we took that space. It was a little underutilized, and we decided to put in a new junior ballroom downstairs. And then upstairs, we put in a state-of-the-art boardroom, as well as some additional offices for our staff. So that was kind of the 3-phased approach. And it took us from about 50,000 square feet of rentable space up to about 86,000 square feet, 13 new meeting rooms, another ballroom, a commercial kitchen. So a lot of stuff. So that kind of goes through the history. And then this year is actually our 30-year anniversary. So we're celebrating 30 years. And 2020 wasn't the year we expected it to be for our 30 years, but we did it in Boise Centre fashion. What we decided to do is to do 30 acts of kindness for the community as part of our 30-year anniversary. So in Boise Centre fashion, we kind of just tag teamed a lot of different projects. We picked 30 different ones, all the way from giving away coffee randomly at local coffee houses to people that would show up. We had gift cards ready to go, so their coffee was paid for by Boise Centre. We worked with the Idaho Food Bank and National Guard on some additional spaces, and that was after COVID, getting them some space for their backpack program, the senior food boxes, and the ability to kind of space out some stuff. So our third year, like I said, wasn't what we expected, but the history has kind of it's been a long one, and I've been here through about half of that. I've been here 15 years of that, and so I've seen quite a bit of those changes and have been here for a portion of the drastic expansion period. So,
wow, you know a lot about the history. How long have you worked for the Boise Centre, Cody?
15 years. Like I said, November is 15 years. Part-time, full-time would be January in 15 years. So this January will be my 15th year full-time. But I started literally part-time 15 years ago in November. Festival of Trees was my very first event I worked.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay, when I tell people about the Boise Centre, when I'm talking to visitors coming in or clients, I always talk about pre-expansion, when you guys could feed like 1,000 people maximum for lunch, right? And then now we were able to host up to 2,000 lunches, right? Am I right there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it depends. If you fill every single room we've got, you could probably fit definitely 1,000 to 1,500 just on the West building. We did a couple events years ago for per year that were like that, where it was just feeding people. Most conventions, though, need a three-prong approach. They need some exhibit space, they need some meeting space, and then some general session rooms for the breakouts and the meetings. So that kind of stuff is usually what takes up a lot of that space. So feeding them, right now, the expansion allows us to do comfortably groups of 1,000 to 2,000, depending on how much their needs are. But yeah, we could concurrently feed well over 2,000 between the two buildings.
I remember one of the issues about just having the West side was we had to turn so many conferences away.
Correct. Yeah.
And so now you can accept some of those bigger conferences and conventions. I remember the epidemiologist convention, and is that the biggest one that you guys have done to date?
It was the biggest convention that we have done to date. So that one was done, that took a whole entire community. The entire city actually kind of got together. We had 13 different hotels that were housing all the different individuals. The district helped foot the bill of getting people to and from their hotels and back to the convention center. And that was something that normally would have been in Charlotte. So it shows you, as a city like Boise, being able to do a convention of that size. Ironically, it was the epidemiologist. So now in 2020, looking back on it, it's kind of like, I wish I would have asked him some questions about 2020 back then. But yes, that was our largest convention that we've done to date as far as it. But we've done some very close to that as far as total numbers, and then have an equal number of people in the building between different groups as well. So.
Okay, that's fabulous. I remember when the Airstream convention was down there, and they parked those Airstream trailers right on the Grove there. Anyway, we've come a long way, baby.
Absolutely.
So you guys are a big part of the economy right here in downtown.
That's a big part of what we do. We're here for the economic impact. A big reason that we were created, actually, part of that 1959 legislature was that they wanted to create an economic impact. So what we do is we try to bring in conventions. Number one, that's our first priority, is to get people from out of state, because they tend to spend a little bit more in the downtown local restaurants. The hotels get filled up. So those heads and beds are very important for the hoteliers. But what we do is we kind of estimate economic impact on several different numbers. We calculate a certain number for out of town spend, and then for local as well. So we calculate our economic impact, which again, prior to COVID, we were taking names and kind of doing really well before COVID. And we were doing about 22 to 25 million in economic impact a year prior to this thing. This year has been a little different, obviously, without people being able to travel and come. So, but yes, economic impact is a big part of what we do. It's a big part of what we report on. And that's a big thing. We know we're part of the community and getting people downtown and go shopping and to eat in the restaurants. So support those chamber members.
Well, right behind me here is a picture of what we used to do. And I think this is our gala from 2017 or 2018. But just, you guys do such a good job. And one of the things that I like working with you guys the most is that the food that you guys have is local. The wine and the beverages that you guys have is local. So kudos to you guys for, every single detail of a client of yours is going to be elevated, and you guys always exceed expectations. Now, let's talk about how are you doing conventions and conferences now? We saw that you guys have invested heavily on the safety of your clients and guests, and got some innovative top of the line tech stuff to help people stay safe. Can you explain a little bit about how you're going to business now?
Absolutely. Things are a little different, but I mean, and I'll say this, and this is not meant as any way, but when I leave my house, usually when I come to work, I feel this is the safest place I come to. And a big reason that is because of the investment that the district has made in keeping us safe in particular, and being able to invest us in the education. One portion of it is through an association that I belong to, where we're talking to every convention center almost across the United States, sharing best practices. We immediately invested into some new temperature thermal scanning machines that basically allow about 3 person per minute, or 3 people per second, to walk in front of those machines immediately. They don't have to stop. It takes their temperature in a non-invasive way, in a quick, nice, easy way that we can get people through, and a lot of people through, very quickly. We've also, and this is something that I'm going to highlight here, is we just got our Gbac certification, which what that is, it's kind of similar to like a LEED certification as it was years ago, but on the cleaning side of things for a building. It's the Global Biorisk Advisory Council actually put together a certification for large buildings, and convention centers, venues like ours, stadiums have really jumped onto this. And it gives us a level of accountability and an assurance for our clients to know that we're not leaving anything uncovered, untouched. It increased our sanitization protocols, which were always very good anyway. But what this does, it adds another layer of accountability there, that we're checking on things. There is a certification that comes with it. We just got certified. We're the first in Idaho. I know that the Extra Mile Arena is working on their certification. So we're pretty proud that we were the first in Idaho to receive that certification. But really, our protocols was the one thing. We formed a COVID task force very early in this process, about early March, or maybe it was about mid-March actually, when things really started to change. Internally, we kind of just started to, hey, let's form this task force. Let's get together and figure out what things are going to look like. And honestly, it's been a month-to-month type of thing where adjustments have had to happen, obviously, the more we've learned. But it really kind of changed our protocols. The way we do buffets is now kind of employee served versus people come up. We've had to space out depending on what the protocols were under certain months. But a lot of the stuff we've done is kind of speaking to what you guys have done here as well. A virtual hybrid options has kind of become the thing of 2020. So we've had to space people out, and the AV department has really stepped up big time. We've created an in-house studio in our room 430 that we're doing virtual events, and we've got one in-house actually this afternoon. It's actually been the one thing that's kept us very busy is their virtual studio. So giving people an opportunity to come in and we record their content, put it out there in a professional way, give them a platform to stream it out to groups. And whether they're doing it completely virtual or hybrid with some people, similar to how you guys did the Small Business Awards or the gala, is kind of a hybrid option. And we've been able to successfully do those as well. So a lot of stuff has changed, but that task force has been busy at work, and I can't thank them enough. I'd also be remiss to you highlighted our culinary team. And that's one thing that I would say, that if you come to Boise Centre, or anybody that has used to coming to Boise Centre, if you've gone to any other convention centers and you've had the normal convention food, as most people would call it, that's the one thing we have avoided from the day one here. We really do try to buy local. We try to make things fresh. So minus maybe a few different dressings that we do, we make everything from scratch. And that goes from everything. When we're serving 1,000 people, it's pretty crazy to go back in the kitchen and see that team in work, because it isn't just frozen stuff thrown out. These guys are prepping for days in advance. So it is really cool to see, and I'd be remiss to not call out our culinary team for their efforts this year. They've done a great job and everything, and they've always done a great job. But this year they've been throwing a few curveballs, obviously, with the way that the protocols, trying to keep that quality up while not sacrificing safety has been the biggest challenge. But I think they've done an outstanding job at it.
Okay. What do you have going on currently?
Well,
do you have things booked now, and what does January look like? How are you guys holding up?
It's been a little difficult. Obviously, the rollback to stage 2 was the one thing that kind of impacted us a lot. We used to be able to have 50 people per room. Now we're down to 10, but we still are able to do stuff even in that environment. Coming up this weekend, as per Central District Health has approved as one of the education sessions, we have a CFA class and testing going on, similar to kind of like a bar exam, where it's a very straightforward test. They space everybody out and do it in a very socially distanced, safe way. But we are having that coming up this weekend. And then we do have a couple very small, they're not what they normally are, but dance groups, but it's like dance recitals And it's mostly young kids that are coming in to kind of go in front of judges and present what they've worked on for the last quarter or the last year as their groups. And Central District Health did sign off on that one as well. It just looks a little different. It's mostly just the instructor, a few judges, and then a parent in the room with the kids. So it's 10 people per room on that as well. It just looks a little different. But January, again, same thing. A lot of smaller boardroom meetings and groups like that. But it is pretty dark around here most days. But I would say that we've been able to stay busy for the most part. And with the team that we've got, they've done an outstanding job of keeping everybody safe. So.
Well, as you can tell from the comments that you've been seeing here, that everybody's so excited to press the flesh again. I cannot wait till we get to raise a glass, Cody, at one of our events that you guys help us with. And I was in a member restaurant the other day, and you can tell you've been out of the networking part and seeing people when you see people come in and you want to talk to them and you want to talk to the person you're there with and you're like, I want to talk to everybody. I can't. It's
Absolutely.
just crazy.
It's been hard. And even just seeing people as I've been around town, it's just the friendly faces, even this being virtually just doesn't replace the in-person. That's one thing a lot of people have asked us I remember hearing this back in the last recession of 2008, that virtual meetings were going to be the wave of the future and that the in-person meetings were going to go away. It's just not the reality. There's just nothing that replaces that face-to-face, that handshake. And again, that might be an elbow bump now or going forward. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that replaces that, being able to network in person. So we're pretty confident in the ability that this industry is going to come back pretty strong.
That's great. Well, you guys have been a great partner of ours, and thank you for the membership, the continued partnership, and how you guys provide just a first class opportunity for folks to showcase the trade shows and educational events and all that you guys do. Is there anything else, Cody, that you want the audience to know before we sign off today?
Well, no, I think you just highlighted one thing that's really key to our own personal development. It's been part of my personal development here, professional development here, has been our partnership with Chamber. We've got a group membership with you guys for BYP program. We have a lot of our staff participates in all of the professional development day, in particular you guys just had recently. So our team goes to a lot of the BYP lunch and learns, which some of those have been virtual obviously this year, but our team takes advantage of that. And that's been one thing that I would say about our culture here is the professional development. It's a big reason I am where I am today and why I'm still at the Boise Centre after 15 years is the investment they make into the community, but also into our own employees. And Chamber has been a huge, huge partner for us in particular for that development. And from the networking side, from the business after hours, I know that we participate in those. And then just the events that you guys have here, it's just we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys in particular as well. So that would be one thing I'd highlight.
Awesome. Well, Cody, hey, I hope you and your family have a great holiday season. And I look forward to the next time that we can come and have an event with you guys and see the whole team. It's been way too long. And have a great weekend, Cody. And say hello to the team from us. We miss you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody out there, have a safe, happy holidays. And we hope to see everybody back at Boise Centre again soon. So
we will. Okay. Bye, Cody. Thanks again.